many times, so I hope you bear with me. But we'll try to show you how I make the project bags we've been talking about all the time. So what you need for like your back piece, you need a piece big enough to be 12.5 by 14.5. And that's only like if you want to make the size we make. Usually our size finishes at 11 by 13. So you want your back piece to be 1.5 inches bigger than your inside piece, which will be 11 by 13. And on this one, we put the fusible fleece. So you need 2 pieces of that. And sometimes I cut them just a tad bigger. And when I fuse the fusible fleece, then I trim it to size because there's shrinkage happening with heat. And then you need another piece that it will be, I cut it bigger than the 13 so we can trim it afterwards. So 13.5, 14, you don't have to be exact, but it needs to be bigger than 13. And it's 2.5 by bigger than 13. And then you fold that like in half and press it out the way. And then you bring the ends to the middle where you press that, and then you press this. Kind of creates a not bias, but binding or bias tape, whatever they call it. It's just, and you need a zipper bigger than 13. And then you need a vinyl piece that it will be like 13.5 by 12-ish. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do. And to start this, so like I already said, we have our piece prepped. You just put it on the longer side of your vinyl, the 13.5 or so. And you either, well, don't pin it, it's vinyl, we don't pin vinyl, but you can use binding clips. My coworkers made fun of me because I actually don't use any of that stuff, but I'll try to show you the right way, I guess.
So you say the width is 2.5
of the strip.
Okay.
Yeah, and when it's folded, I don't know what it ends up being, about just a tad bigger than 1/2 inch, depending on how you press it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So one that, and sometimes I don't have issues sewing vinyl on my machine. Well, like it can stick here, but I usually, can slide it in, and I don't have issue. If you have issues, most of the time the vinyl or your fusible comes with the paper. Just put that paper underneath, and or tissue paper. If you have tissue paper, you can use that. Put it underneath, and even if you sew on it, you can rip it very easily afterwards without leaving damage to it. But now we pretty much would just top stitch. And I know lots of people have issues top stitching. The way I do it, and I get pretty good results most of the time, it's like you play with your machine, play with your feet. So I usually use the edge of my foot and put it right next to the fabric. And if I'm able to keep that going, the stitching will always end up being the same way. As long as I keep the fabric to that edge, I will get a pretty consistent finish. And like I don't know if you can see sometimes that bubbles, and you can kind of fix it by lifting and continuing. And just keep removing your clips and keep sewing. And cut your thread. And then you have your thing finished.
Okay.
And at this point, like if you didn't pay attention, like which I didn't mention, sometimes when you press your binding strip that way, you have one of the edges that it's smaller and the other bigger. Like if this bothers you, it's pretty much identical. So if when it's showing underneath just a little bit, if that bothers you, just flip it over. and you won't see it.
Oh.
So, yeah. Either you can pay attention and, put your strip with the bigger part on top when you're top stitching, or right now you have the option to flip it. As soon as we attach the zipper, that won't be an option anymore, so you want to catch it beforehand. But even that, it's not bad. It doesn't look bad either. But if you're picky or perfectionist, that's one way to avoid that. So then, for that part, depending on your feet, you might want to use your zipper foot. Mine, it's pretty skinny, and I don't need to do that, so I'm just using my regular. If you have Bernina, I'm using 37D, and I'm not sure if it's 1/4 of an inch or not, but that's what I'm using, and it works pretty good for me. For the zipper, you can open it out the way, and I'm not going to be using the metal parts of the zipper. So I kind of can start that a bit bigger, and I really eyeball it. So just making sure my zipper it's under there, and I'll try to leave the same space, between the zipper teeth and the fabric. And I don't usually use clips, but I think you might. Yeah, it works with clips. So if you want, you can use your clips to attach your zipper so it will be attached and continue it. I won't do that because it works better for me, but that's an option. Or I think they sell a zipper tape. I'm not sure. I've never researched what it's called. But you can iron on, well, you have a vinyl and you might not want to iron that, the plastic teeth. So use your binding clips. It will be too tricky to iron it, but I'll just do it my way.
So that you want to leave a little space between the zipper.
So you can, pull the zipper back and forth. You have that space. And I'm just going to need to position here and see. And for me, I really usually use my foot. So I put the outer edge of my feet will be next to the zipper teeth. And the inner edge of my foot will be next to the fabric. And that actually will dictate my space. So I just need to adjust it a bit. And there it goes. So now it's pretty much, and if I keep going that way, like I said earlier, your top stitching will be pretty consistent because you're really just making sure those are hugging your foot. And with your zipper foot, I don't know if it's gonna work, but that's just for guidance. If you don't have that option, just make sure your space here is consistent and you just do your top stitching to your liking.
Yeah, so they can do even wider space if they need to.
Well, you can go wider than this because you want to attach the zipper, but yes, you can make it a bit bigger or smaller depending on your... Then with zippers, so to be able to sew it out the way, the zipper pull is going to be in my way. So for me, I put my needle down so it will hold it in place. And then I'll lift my feet, close the zipper, and then I'll continue sewing. So I can get it out of the way. And it's not necessarily to back stitch. I do it or don't do it, I don't know, it just depends how I feel. And now you have your zipper attached to your vinyl. Okay, so the next step, I guess I should trim those, but the next step is you're gonna get your inside fabric, the one with the fusible. And if it's directional like this one is, make sure that you put the top part of this with the zipper. And like I said, if you cut that bigger than 13 inches, you have the wiggle room to center it. And I don't like using the metal parts of the zipper, so they're extended out. And now you want to do is just make sure that your zipper edge matches the edge of your background fabric. So I'll just get that. And you can use the binding clips again and, attach it out the way. Yeah. I don't do that. And I usually, no, this one you want to just attach it with 1/8 of an inch because it will be hidden afterwards. So you just attach it to your background fabric. And for that reason, again, my edge of the fabric is just following the inside of my foot on the machine. And that way I can go as fast or as slow, just making sure my fabric is sitting there. And I won't cut my thread. I'll put my needle down and I'll turn it. And I have a pretty big table on my machine, so I can make sure this is smooth so it won't bunch and stuff. And then I'll do 1/8 of an inch all the way around the other 3 sides. When you're going over your zipper, kind of slow down. It's plastic, so usually it doesn't break my needle, but if you slow down and go, it should not break your needle. But just so 1/8 of an inch all the way around.
Go slow on the vinyl if
Okay.
you need to. No,
And then
no, I mean.
and put your needle down, turn, kind of make sure it's smooth out, and continue. When we did this, they had an issue, and I don't know if it's because I have a big table and my project can rest very easily. Sometimes when they do that final seam, this will bunch up. So I think if you stop here and disconnect your threads and start going from this way, then you'll be able to more control if you have that bunching up. I think it will be better to happen down here than up here. Mm-hmm. And another thing before I continue sewing, now you want to make sure that your zipper pull, it's not on the outside of your project. Pull it back in so it will stay in the middle where you want it to end up. And if you sew it the wrong way, we all know, get your seam ripper and you can unpick it and redo it. Yeah. But you definitely do not want to cut it off. And that's fixable too, but it's not as enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yep. And now your project will look something like that. And I'll take it to the cutting table and we'll trim all the way around that excess vinyl and the zippers and stuff. You either can get scissors, not your fabric scissors, to clip your zipper. My rotary cutter right now is pretty old, so I'm using that. But if you don't want to damage your rotary cutter, don't use it. So we will just trim that. I've just positioned it on the edge and trim it all the way.
So the guidance is like the fusible, right? You go according
your back fabric.
Okay.
And then we'll trim this. And for some reason up here, it didn't end up being square. My fabric is a bit here, but I can make sure watch this line and this, and that will get wrapped in the binding. So I kind of in a way square it up too when I'm trimming it. You can see better when I put the ruler. Mm-hmm. That just, for some reason, that corner it's not squared, but I will match my line here and here, and just didn't trim quite the vinyl out the way, so that's why I'm doing it again here.
Okay.
And then the bottom one. And believe it or not, we're pretty much almost done with the bag, but that's what you just need to attach the pretty back.
The binding and the back.
Which it kind of self-binds.
Yeah.
With the,
in Anna's method.
Yeah. So you'll lay your fabric. I don't know, do you want it over here?
Yeah, sure.
So you lay your fabric facing up and your back face down. And so since the zipper is up here, I like to start with the bottom. And you want to have, since our back piece it's about 1.5 inches bigger, you want to have 3/4 of an inch on each side.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use your ruler and kind of make sure it's centered, which like 3/4. And this one, so just kind of center it. This was a tad shorter, but it's gonna work out. So just center it. And first we're gonna sew 1/4 inch on this side from here, and then once that's sewn, we're gonna scoot the fabric down and match where the zipper is with the top. I'll show in a minute. This is not quite. But so we'll bring that here, and again, if you want to use your binding clips, use your binding clips. And we're just doing 1/4 inch seam allowance on this. And just your fabric matching with the bag. Back stitch, because we're going to be flipping it over, and if your stitches are not strong, they will kind of come undone.
Yes.
So then you want to bring this straight up, and if you're not certain if it's shifted, get your ruler again and kind of see the 3/4 of an inch.
So don't worry if there is like extra now. There is a purpose.
Yes, for this, yes, that.
And then we'll talk about it.
That will disappear as soon as we flip the back over.
Yeah.
Because that's like your binding. And again, if you feel like using binding clips, do. This one, it will be a bit tricky because like I mentioned, the zipper's up here now. And if you're using your zipper foot, it might be okay. I don't change my feet for that. Mm-hmm. You do want 1/4 inch. The only thing I have to do is make sure I put pressure here, mm-hmm. but you kind of have to be careful because, too much pressure, fabric will move.
Yeah.
But I'm not really pushing pressure down. I'm pushing pressure towards the foot, because if I don't, and my machine goes, the zipper is under here. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the foot will just
slide.
Yeah, the zipper will push the fabric, and so that's why I kind of keep it just a little bit pressure, so it would end up going the same. And again, make sure your fabric it's matching the top. Okay, so my zipper pull is coming up. I can feel it here, even though you can't see it. Mm-hmm. It's right there, but you can feel it. So I'll put my needle down, lift my feet, and then from this side, I will just, opening the bag, depending on which way your zipper was. You either open it or close it.
Just move it out of your way.
Move it out of the way. And then you'll continue sewing. And back stitch. Okay, so the other step, and I will purposely not finish outside just to show you if you forget to do it. I forget that step all the time. Now you want to clip the excess fabric, and it really is just 1/4 inch. If you want to measure it, measure it. I just eyeball it and just clip that. Do that to all 4 corners, but like I said, I will skip one. So that just reduces bulk or whatever the excess, so you don't have too many layers. Mm-hmm. Now I need to remember to skip one instead of remembering cutting them one, all of them. And now you just get your bag and turn it. And I know the vinyl kind of fights you, but it's not that hard, especially on this side. It's not really hard to do. And
now you see the binding on top and bottom.
That excess that we had, it's now wrapped around the bag. So you can kind of smooth it if you want to, so that it will lay evenly on each side. But that's what it is. And that corner I didn't cut. See this one, it ends up, you see the edge. This one has a fold here. And I think it could be fine to leave it, but it's just gonna have too much fabric. So you just can, if you forget to do it, don't flip your back over again. It's not needed. You will clip that 1/4 of an inch there, and then kind of open it and cut the excess. Right there. And that's how it's done. So now you either can start it from the top or bottom. I've done it both ways, and it doesn't matter. I like to start top stitching on the side that it's already wrapped around, and that's just my preference. I don't start from a corner because we have to fiddle with the corner, and this my back, it's already
too busy to start. Yeah.
So I kind of start in the middle, and again with top stitching, I just put the edge of the fabric next to the edge of my presser foot, and just will start top stitching. And when I come closer to the end, I will sometimes like finger press this, and then you like make a triangle. And you can finger press that too, and then we'll bring the fabric to the edge of the vinyl or your backing fabric, and then you fold it one more time, and that creates your corner. So if you have stiletto, go ahead and use stiletto. I haven't quite invested in one, so I use my seam ripper, but that can hold my corner here. And I like to make sure my needle it's stuck in this side now. So when my presser foot lifted a bit, I don't know, your machine might not do that, so you need to lift your presser foot, put the needle down, and then you rotate your bag,
just so you can turn.
And you can turn. And now this side, since it's not done, you just little at a time, you fold it to this edge and then fold it over, and then hold it and continue top stitching, and then stop. You either can do your corner now or just do a couple more stitches, like fold once, fold twice. And again, you can use your binding clips if you're not confident or comfortable enough with this. So do your triangle, fold it to the half, and then over, and kind of, and again, you can use your seam ripper. And again, when you're going over your zipper, slow down. And sometimes I'll backstitch, sometimes I won't. I really don't have a why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it. I just go for it. And again, when you're here, that's when you want to put the pressure again, because your zipper will fight with your foot, so you just kind of make sure you keep it steady and continue top stitching.
And this is why you don't want those metal parts on the zippers.
Yeah, because if you have the metal part here, when you're putting that over, it can be in the way.
Yeah, it can be a problem.
So yeah, here at the store we have the 14-inch zippers, and that seems to work perfect. If it's bigger, it works even better.
Too.
Yeah. And again, we're coming to this troublemaker, so we'll put our needle down, lift our foot, close the zipper.
Get it out of the way.
Continue. We're getting to one more corner. Well, there are two more, but to the next corner. And we'll fold it towards there.
Fold half and then go in.
Lift your presser feet to the turn and continue with finishing your other bind. Now do a corner. Again, the triangle. Fold it one halfway and then, sorry, I kind of walked that way. So,
Yes.
so the triangle
Halfway
and
go in.
it's not too pointy, but still it's fine. And then we'll turn. I like to clip my excess thread here, so when I top stitch, back stitch here, it doesn't interfere.
Have a lot. Yay!
And we have a bag.
It's done.
I'll just need to clip my threads in the back. And here is the finished project. So ready for your cross stitch project, your next quilt project. You can cut your fabrics and put them here. Of course, it won't work for everything, but for most, if you have blocks and stuff, and
Yay!
you can do that. So, and the back is just
Yep.
this.
Get
So-
your fabric. Make one.
I hope you learn some new stuff and go ahead and try make some bags. And I love making those.
It looks easy when you're making it, but it doesn't.
Well, I think we just
It's
a
not
little
easy
bit of
for us.
practice and just work on the techniques. It's not hard to make, but if you're not used to it, top stitching and stuff, then you need to practice. That's how it to it. So
Thank you.
okay, bye.